Okay, hi everyone. I'm back with part 2. It's going to be a short one. So I've chosen this as my background paper for the inside, and it is a cardstock, and it's from the DCWV. I forget the name of it. I forget. Anyway, I made sure it was really dry. You can see it's still warpy because I haven't put it under... Once I'm completely done and it's dry, I will put it under books and flatten it out. So once that's dry, then I take my bone folder and I gently score along the fold line as I'm bending it up, just so that, you know, it's not going to tear. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of bubbling, but that's okay. I mean, you're going to stitch it in here anyway. All the papers, it won't even show. But I just kind of gently go back and forth and just kind of keep bending as I go. Okay. Now sometimes, no matter what I do, I still might get a little cracking in the spine. And in that case, I might put some lace or, some burlap or whatever the style of the journal calls for. It's all coverable. It's not a huge deal. It's just the paper cracking, but like I said, with the Tyvek in there, you won't have an issue with your papers ripping through the spine. A lot of people reinforce with cardstock, but again, it's paper. If it works, great. I haven't had great success with that personally. I like the bendability of the Tyvek. Some people use duct tape. That works well. Really what it comes down to is just experimenting to see what kind of works for you. Now, I don't really have to worry too much that it's completely flat because my journal is probably going to be about that big. So it's going to be rounded, which is why I like using the file folders. It just kind of gives a really cool look. So now, that's the back. This will be the front. So when I'm looking at it. Now, there's a little bit of spots here where it didn't stick, so I just end up putting a little bit of glue under there. Give it a rub again. This part's going to get covered over with the other piece, but I don't want my top piece to be too bubbly. So I will do that first. Put that on there. So then this piece is going to go like this. So it'll be right at the spine, like just in front of the bend. And I think it's too long, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to trim it down a little bit. And I want to trim it from the bottom because I want as much of that flower as possible. Do it this way. And again, I'm guessing. I'm not super fussy about some things, and other things I'm crazy fussy about. I don't know why. We'll see if that works. Alright. It's going to slide on there. Yeah. I think that works. Okay, so you can see I didn't glue this part down yet. That's going to be separate. I'm going to actually use glue for that. Glue. Is that actual glue? Let's name it. Glue. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that that's right at my fold, the edge of my file folder. Kind of hard to do on camera here for some reason. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to get my fingers underneath here to hold that down. I'm going to open that up. And then I'm gonna just start slapping it on. And you have to be pretty quick because it does dry pretty fast. And I want to make sure I go over the spine because it is going to overlap that paper. Okay. All right, I think I might have enough on there, and I'm going to flip that back up, smooth it down with my hands first, and then I'm going to wipe off what kind of smeared on the desk. And then I'm going to take my brayer, I'm going to push the glue up to the edge here. I might have to add more. And then I'm going to use my bone folder. I'm really going to give it a push. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to add some more. Didn't go up high enough, I guess. And I don't care about getting it on here because I am going to Mod Podge that as well, or decoupage or whatever I'm doing. You want to make sure, if you're using your bone folder, make sure that you wipe it off really well. Because what will happen is you get a buildup and then it won't go across your paper smoothly. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. See now, if this was kind of wet still on the back side here, even though it's dry to the touch the paper itself, you've got too much glue. It's saturating right through, and as I'm doing this, I might tear up some paper. So it's really important that you do dry between stages. Okay, so I'm not going to bend it because it's not dry. Now, once it's completely dry, then I'll corner around like I did on this side, re-ink it because it will not have ink on the corners. And then I will do the same thing. I will run my bone folder along here again and, you know, just bend it up again. And then I will glue up the edge here. So I will show that, well, I might show that. Well, let's do this side. This side's done. This side is dry. So I use Aleene's Tacky Glue pretty much for everything. And this bottle comes this way with the cap so you can stand it on its end, and that way your glue's always at the tip. And then I just buy the big bottles and I refill the small bottle. This one's a 5 fluid ounce or 148 mils. So I'll go right to where it curves in is where I put the glue. That'll be my line. And then I just kind of fill it in. You don't want to over glue or you're going to have it scushing everywhere. Oh, I was told that I have amusing sayings. Yeah, I've been told that several times actually. I kind of make words up. Okay, give it a nice burnish with your finger. And that's going to be my tuck spot on the inside back cover. And then the front's going to have one here. This will look nicer, I think, when that's corner rounded and inked up. Okay, so we're going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you just real quick. And the reason I'm doing all this is because I've had a number of really, really new crafters, and they wanted me to show them several different things. Besides my tips, tricks, and tools, they wanted more specifics on, you know, paper cutting and different things like that. I'm running out of room here, you guys. Okay, hopefully that's nicely in camera. Okay, so I showed you this before. Now, I really printed a lot. I didn't realize how many. So there's quite a few. I'm going to have to figure out if I'm going to even put all of them. Oh yeah, I think it'll be perfect, actually. These ones here are the little pockets and tags. I love this kit. It's got the coolest tags, and look at all the tabs. Mind you, they're humongous, but I can cut them down with my tag maker. So I'll show you that. This is one of the little tricks that I do. When I really like the paper that I have, then I want everything to kind of match, because that's how I roll. I will use the tabs I already have. Like, a lot of kits that you buy have tabs that are already formed for you, and you just have to fussy cut them out. I kind of don't do that for most of them, just because I'm lazy, and really cutting them all by hand, yeah, I don't really want to do that. And I'm thinking that I might be able to do it with this punch. I think it might just completely fit, and it does. Look at that. Now, which way do I want to do it? Now, when you cut it out, your tab's going to fold this way, so when you put it on the page, it's going to be sideways. So you need to decide whether you want your image to be up or to be sideways. It's up to you, however you want to do that. I personally want it this way. So I'm just going to make sure that, let's turn it this way so that I can get most of that in there. Yeah, that's going to look really nice. Yeah. And do I want some polka dots? Yes, I do. So let's just kind of find your window. Okay. So now, wasn't that quicker than cutting that all out by hand? And then what I'll do, now I don't need to use my archival ink for this. Oh, and I guess I should have been more specific. The reason I use the archival ink is because it's not water reactive. So when you're doing any kind of decoupage, if you've inked your paper and your decoupage glue touches it, it's going to move your ink. If you don't want that to happen, then use archival or StazOn. Whatever ink you have that is not water reactive. Now, the distress inks, the Tim Holtz distress inks, are designed to be water reactive. So you don't want to use them with any kind of wet medium if you don't want your ink to move. So I will always edge whatever I'm cutting out. I don't like white core edges, so if I cut something out, this is what I would see, is a white edge. I don't like that. I don't think it looks finished. So I will always ink. Now, depending on how grungy I want it, sometimes I just like the ink that you can barely see it, but if you turned it sideways, you could see the ink that way. And other times I over ink because I want it to look really, really grungy. So that's how I'll do those. And then you can decide when you have, well, let's use this one. When you have things like this, it's a white back. I don't want any white in my journal. So I have a decision to make. Either I can try and gently coffee stain it, and I'll do that with, well, I'll show you how I do that. Let's just get rid of some of this stuff. Now I have a sponge brush. Let me get it out of the water. It's really wet. I don't think I have a dry one, so I'll have to just squeeze the heck out of this one. Oh, that's really wet. Woohoo! I don't want the water in there. That's better. Okay. Now for this, I try and make sure that anything that I don't want to get wet is out of my way. So I do a tea in a bottle. I do have coffee, but my sprayer is not working right now. I'll just do a puddle of it. I'll take my sponge brush and I'll soak up the tea in my brush, making sure that I'm not going to lay my other piece in anything that's wet. I bought a new printer, so I'm not dead certain. Now this one I printed on my old one, so it might be alright. But my new printer, I haven't figured out how reactive the ink is to water. And I will just paint it on without being heavy-handed, because you don't... Now you can do this because I'm using 32-pound photo paper. If you're using a cheap copy paper, like printer paper, it soaks through too fast and you'll run your ink if you don't have great ink. So I don't over soak. If I want it darker, I'll go back over it, but you try not to get any, around you, because it will wick up into your paper on the wrong side and it might move your ink. But you can sort of get rid of the white. If you're like me and you don't like the white. So I can go over it again. I don't know that I will, but see, it didn't change my ink on this side, so it's fine. It's still damp, actually, but you get the drift. Now, the other thing you can do is you can cut them out. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm really bad at cutting, you guys, so bear with me here. It's funny, I have a really excellent eye for when things are even or not, but I can't seem to cut them so that they are even. I'm always struggling with things like that. Okay, let's move this so it's not making anything else wet. All right, the other thing you can do is you can fold these together, edge to edge. You can glue them with, I found this the best. Let me grab it. It's the Yes paste. It is a paste, most definitely. It kind of reminds me of petroleum jelly, actually. And if I can find my little spatula, I will show you. Okay, I clearly have too much stuff. Hang on, I need to stand up and look. Okay, I can't find it. Oh, I know, because it's in the water. Duh. Okay. Now, Yes Paste is also a water reactive glue. So you can thin it down if you need to. All I do is I take a bit and I start in the middle, and then it's like icing a cake, only super thin. Just pull it down towards you. You'll barely be able to see it even. If I can just telephoto in a little bit for you, that helps. You'll just see it's kind of a little shiny. So that kind of tells me where I have put it. The reason you want to do it thin is because it will make your paper really thick. If you put it on thick, your paper feels really heavy. Okay, and then I just simply smush them together. And for stuff like that, I always have a water sprayer because it is water reactive, so it's easily cleaned up off your craft mat. That's why this was in the water, because it comes off really easy. Okay, and then, oh, it's wet there, darn. Okay, I'll use my brayer again. Now, as far as brayers go, I've had the kind of brayers that have screws on the end. Personally, they're garbage for me. Every time it would loosen the screw and then my roller would fall out. I find these are the best, and I think they're made by Ranger, actually. Here's my new one. It's exactly the same, and I'm pretty sure it's made by Ranger. Made in China, mind you, but it's for Ranger. Okay, so now that's stuck together nicely, which I think I just laid it in glue. I will just heat it up a little bit just to dry it faster so that I can cut the edges. And because I put my glue right to the bend, it's not going to come apart as I cut it. Now these are the Tim Holtz scissors, and these are awesome scissors because they're Teflon coated, so things don't stick to them. They come off really easy, they clean up really easy, and they also will cut metal pieces without ruining your scissors. Okay, then I'm going to take my ink and I'm just going to do this. Just ink up the edges, and I didn't cut that very straight. Wow. I told you, I don't cut very well. That's better. And when I ink up my edges, I do front and back because it doesn't always make it to the other side. So when that dries solid, it'll be nice and flat. The reason I like the Yes Paste is because it doesn't warp your paper. Not that expensive. I've had this probably at least 3 years, maybe 4. And I use it a lot. So now you've got front and back. So you've got a choice whether you want singles, you know, like I did with the T on the back, or, you know, doubled up. It's up to you how you do that. We will get to the pages. What time am I at? 24 minutes. We will get to the pages and the embellishing as well. I'll get them all cut because, you know, I'm pretty sure that's like watching paint dry. watching me cut pages. Once I've done that, then of course my cover will be completely dry. So we can do another video with, I always stack my pages in the order that I want them to be, and then I decide on the embellishing. Sometimes I'll embellish before. I usually embellish after, mostly before, not too much after. Just because, I don't know, I just like to know how bulky it's going to be before I get it in the book. If it's too bulky, then I don't put the embellishments on. Does that, I hope that makes sense to you guys. Well, it'll make sense when I actually get to that part. So that's part 2. Not sure when I'll get to part 3 because, like I said, I have to wait. And it's dinner time for me now, so I need to go make my husband some dinner. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great day. Bye.